Hello there. Welcome to the 14-day How to Write a Solo Show Slam. I think we're on day 9. That's crazy. I am live from Marrakesh on the 14-day How to Write a Solo Show Slam. And I'm so excited to be here. Now, let me make sure everybody's all set because I am simulcasting, aloha, on both Zoom and Facebook at the same time because I got it like that. Okay. So, folks, the last time we talked, which was yesterday, we talked about emotional chords and how I used the things that moved me in the color purple to find my emotional chords. And I hope you went home and thought about movies and shows that you've seen and the real specific lesson that the character was learning. Because that lesson, the one that caught your eye, the one that really moved you, that's part of your emotional chords. And that's important stuff. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure nobody has questions. So I'm going to pin this to the top, and you can sign up at any time for the 14-day How to Write a Solo Show Slam, okay? I'm going to do a replay of all 14 videos at a certain point, so you have to sign up if you want to see them. And I'm taking questions. I am going to try and address them today, along with talking about the gesture, the psychological gesture, and I studied that in the Michael Chekhov class with Leonard Petit in grad school. And lo and behold, it was the hardest concept for me to learn to find my clown. But once I found it, I realized I was a solo performer. So I'm going to talk about, because people always write to me, how do I get started? How do I get started? Okay, I'm just checking for questions. You can type your questions down in the comments. If you want to get all 14 of the videos, the replay, which will probably be happening at the end of this week, you'll need to sign up at thedreamunlock.com or the link that's here in the description of this video, the dreamunlock.com/solo-show-CTA, or just go to thedreamunlock.com and you can sign up. Now, as I was saying, we went through the emotional chords yesterday. Yesterday's video was hot, and I did a replay last night. So I want to talk about this idea of I don't know how to write because I've never written before. And as I've talked about in each and every video, every time you come to the page, any page, FB, social media, Instagram, you comment on something, a grocery list, an email, you're writing. Every time you talk about what happened to you, you're writing, okay? Because everybody is narrating the story of their lives and their conversations in your journal, which is what we talked about yesterday and how important writing in the journal every day is, because that's where you'll start to see recurring emotional chords. And those chords are the key to creating character, right? Once you figure out a life lesson that you're struggling with, if you create a character with that same life lesson, that character will be so complicated and deep, and rich, the story will write itself, I'm telling you. If you were fascinated by your mother's childhood and asked her stories about it, and she just started talking, she would tell you a book in one sitting, right? You understand her. You understand her character. You understand what moves her. You understand where she's from. The same is true of you. So say loss of love from a primary parent is one of your emotional chords. If you were writing a character for whom that was one of their emotional chords, in any given circumstance, whether it's the death of a parent, whether it's graduating from college, that loss of love from a primary parent, if that's the recurring emotional chords, the story will tell itself. Because that character will approach their life with that life lesson. It's a primary life lesson that shaped who they are. It's the lens through which they see the world. When that person starts talking, they tell you a story. All you have to do as the writer is to learn how to sit and listen for the story that wants to be told. And the way to do that is the emotional chords. And I talked all about that in yesterday's video. I'm going to give you another trick for creating writing that comes out of the character instead of you trying to think of things, right? And that's why solo show work is so fascinating. Do I have any questions? I'm going to check the comments and make sure I have questions as I go along. Solo show work is different from other work because you create and explore the character and the story comes from them, not the other way around, right? So today I want to talk about psychological gesture. And if you haven't seen my TED Talk, you can go to thedreamunlocked.com. You can see an excerpt of it and how I use the psychological gesture. The psychological gesture used to come out of archetypal gestures. Like if you ever read a review in the New York Times, like open to the New York Times today, okay? Look at the, do I have a question? Okay. Look at all the pictures from the movie reviews, from the play reviews, in particular play reviews. They always choose a picture in which the actor is employing the psychological gesture. Okay? The psychological gesture is when you're trained as an actor, especially on stage and, well, TV and film too, don't move. You move because you absolutely have to, right? Because the emotional thing that's happening to you is so great that you are moved into action, okay? That action is driven by a huge psychological and emotional need. That's what the psychological gesture is, okay? And in solo work, when you find the psychological gesture for your character, the story will tell itself. For example, in a solo show, you're often writing about people you know, family members, whatever. You're going to change all those names and identities later. You're also, because it's a solo show and it's one person performing, that person has to be larger than life. It can't just be your mom talking to the school teacher, right? How do we know the school teacher is different from the mom? Well, here's a trick. One of my mother's psychological chords is she's a jazz singer. Like she sings. She didn't do it professionally. She wanted to have a family and have kids. The way she talks like she's doing Ella Fitzgerald phraseology. That's the way she talks. Her voice pattern is just like that. She talks like that. And then her body follows because she's a jazz singer. She speaks the way that she sings. I'm her daughter. I'm not like that. I'm not a jazz singer. I'm a bookworm. She's a jazz singer. It affects everything. The way that she walks, the way that she talks in church, the way that she dresses. Everything is lyrical about her personality, the way she experiences emotion. It's very lyrical. And I didn't notice it until I paid attention to my mother singing and what she sang. Dakota Staton, Ella Fitzgerald, right? She sang, she loves Beverly Sills. She loves classical music. She loves women of great gravitas with a soft walk and who are masters. She doesn't like amateurs. She likes craftswomen who are quiet and silent and graceful and precise and powerful. They don't raise their voices because they're always going to hit the exact note every time the note is within them. Okay? That's a psychological gesture of my mother. That and the lyricism in which she speaks, right? So every sentence begins with her lyrical gesture. It's no way around it. That's actually who she is. That lyrical gesture. Right? So when I think of this character, I was like, this is my mother about to sing Dakota Staton. This is my mother about to say, Otis, get a tasket, I dropped my yellow basket. Right? She's different from me. So that when she starts So it comes out of the psychology of the character, of learning to observe the character and say, okay, what's going on with her? How does she move? What's important to her? How does she express her feelings, right? Who does she sound like and why? My mom sings like a jazz singer and walks like a jazz singer because she wanted to be a jazz singer. But she got pregnant with me and she wanted a family more. But that's the hidden emotional cord. That's the dream deferred. It drives everything behind her. That's the emotional cord. Once I discovered that and then just started speaking like that and started telling stories like my mom, based on what I knew about her, where she was born, where she went to school, what she loved about her church, and recorded it, the scenes unfolded perfectly. I asked my mother a simple question about, well, what happened right before I was born? And she's like, oh, well, your dad, he made your cradle by hand and he painted it pink. All I did was listen to what my mother said and then found the psychological gesture. Remember, a psychological gesture is psychological. It doesn't always have to be a real big thing. It's driven by what's bubbling up inside of that person emotionally. It's driven by all of their dreams deferred. I'm going to leave you with that today. Do I have any questions? I'm going to replay this one because it's a great one. Right? It's simple. I want you to go and listen to people. Okay? And then I want you to figure out, what is their dream deferred? What did they want to be? Right? And if it's not somebody you know, then pay attention to what they do. There's this great lady on the subway, the 6 train landing, the EF landing at Lexington Avenue. Okay? She has no arms and she has no legs and she sits in a wheelchair and she sings. Now, I didn't see her. I just got on the platform one day and the hair is standing up on my shoulder. And all I heard was, his, and then she burst into like she sang from the bottom of her feet that she did not have. She sang from the tiny torso of her body because that's all she has. And this is her gift to the world. Her voice made the entire platform go quiet. I had not seen her. All I felt was, there is a tiny little woman over there. She's Black because I can hear the deeply Black Southern church inflections in the way that she hits her notes and the way that she hits her vowels. I was like, but it's the old Pentecostal church. I just, as a writer, started paying attention to what I could identify about this woman. I was like, she's very petite because the voice is coming from underneath, and it's not a fat person. It's a little tiny petite person who has a big person's voice. She could send it out. But then the energy of her singing was fast, like a little hummingbird. I was like, she's got to be petite. It's just a big voice and a tiny body. I had no idea this woman was without limbs. None. None. So that when I walked over to the other side of the platform to put some money in there, and she didn't have any arms and any legs, and she looked at me and she said, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And then she just started singing. I was like, holy mother of God. And I emptied my wallet. And I kissed her on the cheek and I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She made me pay attention to her story. It didn't matter she didn't have arms and it didn't matter she had legs. She was a hummingbird sent here to sing God's praises. That's her emotional cord. And if you ever see her, it's this little lady. She's just rocking just like this, and she's in that song. Look for her. 50-30 legs. E-train. All right, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Same time, same place, same bat channel. We go, I think Friday is our last day. Y'all got like 4 or 5 more days. Y'all better get with it.